Kody Brown believed he could fix his shattered reputation with a carefully planned apology tour broadcast on national television. He assumed that some strategically chosen words and a display of emotion would erase nearly 2 decades of documented abandonment, cruelty, and self-centered behavior. He miscalculated dramatically, because at the exact moment TLC began promoting his supposed redemption journey, a detailed psychological analysis of his personality spread rapidly throughout the Sister Wives community, revealing everything Kody and Robyn have been working overtime to conceal. The commentary originated from a viewer identifying as Ashley Shortcake, someone with educational credentials in psychology and anthropology. Her words were far from typical viewer opinions or emotional reactions. This was a precise clinical examination of narcissistic behavioral characteristics that left longtime viewers shocked by how accurately it described what they had witnessed. Ashley systematically explained how both Kody and Robyn demonstrate classic indicators of narcissistic personality disorder, clarifying why their partnership generates such devastation for everyone in their orbit. The assessment achieved viral status within a matter of hours, circulating across various social media platforms and becoming the subject of numerous reaction videos. Viewers who had invested years attempting to express what felt fundamentally wrong about this couple suddenly possessed the proper terminology to articulate it, but the truly remarkable aspect of this moment lies in its timing. This viral exposure did not occur in isolation. It arrived precisely as TLC was distributing promotional content for Kody's apology tour, including official graphics announcing which former wife he would visit during each episode. The scheduling could not have been more problematic for Kody's meticulously planned image recovery campaign. While the television network hoped audiences would perceive a humbled individual seeking redemption, viewers were simultaneously reading a psychological evaluation that presented an entirely contrary picture. The portrait of someone fundamentally incapable of authentic regret, the description of a woman who feeds on disorder and victim status, the depiction of 2 narcissistic individuals amplifying each other's most destructive tendencies. The psychology expert's examination resonated so powerfully because it connected observations that viewers had been making for years. What explains Kody's constant deflection of responsibility? Why does Robyn perpetually cast herself as the victim while receiving the most benefits? What makes their apologies consistently ring hollow and self-interested? Ashley supplied the conceptual framework, and everything suddenly made complete sense. This situation transcended a troubled family appearing on a reality program. This represented a detailed case study demonstrating how narcissistic personalities function, control others, and obliterate relationships. What Kody fundamentally misunderstood is that the Sister Wives viewing audience has observed him for nearly 20 years. They have recognized the behavioral patterns. They have seen the manipulation and gaslighting. They recall every harsh statement, every neglected child, every financial choice that mysteriously advantaged Robyn while forcing the other wives into struggle. A televised apology tour could never eliminate that extensive history. And now, because of a viral psychological breakdown, viewers possess the clinical language to articulate precisely why Kody's redemption effort was predetermined to fail from its inception. However, the psychology expert's analysis represented only the initial wave of Kody's difficulties. His own daughter was preparing to reveal the disturbing truth underlying his actual motivations. TLC has abandoned all pretense at this point. The network has begun officially marketing Kody Brown's apology tour using exactly that description, an apology tour. They produced promotional graphics. They publicized the schedule. The following week features Kody apologizing to Janelle. The subsequent 2 weeks focus on Christine, with the concluding episode reserved for Mary. I don't want to apologize for what I've been accused of. I want to apologize for what I know I've done. So is there anything specifically you're thinking about as far as things you want to mention? 4 full weeks of Kody Brown, attempting to address the destruction of his own creation. But here is the aspect TLC prefers viewers not examine too carefully. This entire narrative arc was constructed in an executive conference room, not generated from genuine remorse. The supporting evidence is irrefutable. Christine personally disclosed in her published book that before filming begins for any season, the cast members gather with production staff to outline the topics they wish to address during the upcoming episodes. Every storyline receives discussion. Every significant moment gets planned in advance. Nothing unfolds spontaneously. Nothing remains authentic. Everything is choreographed to achieve maximum dramatic effect. Therefore, when Kody unexpectedly determines he must travel to North Carolina, Nevada, and Utah to apologize to his former wives, that choice did not emerge during a moment of spiritual enlightenment. It was proposed during a production planning session and greenlit because network executives calculated it would boost viewing numbers. And what motivates TLC's desperate need for this particular storyline? Because the audience has grown disengaged. The program has arrived at a critical juncture where virtually nobody maintains interaction with Kody anymore. The original wives have progressed forward with their individual lives. Christine has remarried and found happiness. Janelle is flourishing in her independence. Mary has discovered tranquility away from the turmoil. These women are experiencing genuine contentment, and that presents a significant problem for a television network that generates profit from conflict. Content individuals living independent lives does not produce the dramatic tension that maintains viewer engagement week after week. So what solution does TLC implement? They fabricate a justification to reunite everyone. They disregard the reality that these women have recovered and advanced. Instead, they present Kody to them like bait, anticipating the confrontations will ignite the conflict audience's desire. The apology tour serves no reconciliation purpose. It exists to manufacture television moments. It aims to capture the tension when Kody positions himself across from women he emotionally discarded and attempts to justify himself. The network is calculating on uncomfortable pauses, emotional exchanges, and perhaps even a dramatic confrontation or two. The level of cynicism becomes staggering when properly considered. These are actual women who endured authentic pain. Christine has documented the emotional and psychological mistreatment she experienced throughout her marriage. Janelle observed her husband repeatedly selecting another wife over her. Mary endured years of gaslighting regarding her position within the family. It shook me hard. Did you feel betrayed by it or something? It took me a minute. I was like, do I not know who he is? Was I deceived? It was a really big deal to me. And now TLC desires to display their trauma as entertainment, packaging it as Kody's redemption narrative. The network demonstrates no concern for healing. They prioritize ratings. They value social media discussion. They aim to provide viewers with sufficient drama to sustain the program for another season. But TLC failed to anticipate Kody's own daughter exposing the reality behind his genuine motivations. Mykelti Brown-Padron has just provided viewers the essential understanding of precisely why her father's apology tour feels fundamentally empty. During a recent Patreon conversation, Christine's daughter explained a crucial distinction most people never contemplate. A substantial difference exists between apologizing and genuinely feeling sorry. And according to Mykelti, Kody is embarking on an apology tour. Nothing more. Mykelti described what she identifies as bulldozer apologies. These represent the category of apologies where someone powers through the expected actions because it improves their own feelings about themselves. It assists with their personal healing process. It permits them to complete a task and proceed onward. But the apology is not genuinely performed for the recipient. It remains entirely self-focused. And Mykelti believes this describes exactly what her father is doing. He desires to feel positive about himself. He wants to eliminate his shame. He wants people to cease speaking negatively about him. The apology concerns Kody Brown and his urgent need to restore his reputation, not the women he damaged. The specific language carries more significance than people typically recognize. Mykelti emphasized that being sorry assumes acceptance of blame. Being sorry assumes you genuinely feel regret about your actions and the pain you inflicted. But apologizing remains superficial. It represents what occurs when a parent compels two arguing siblings to reconcile. The child performs the expected motions because the parent demanded it. They speak the words, they might embrace, but no authentic remorse exists behind the action. They simply perform an apology to fulfill someone else's requirements. That describes what Kody is executing on national television. Here is the most condemning element. Kody has already revealed his actual intentions. He declared explicitly that he does not want to apologize for what others have accused him of doing incorrectly. He only wishes to apologize for what he personally considers he did wrong. Consider that statement carefully. He is not acknowledging the pain he generated from his former wives' viewpoints. He is not accepting accountability for how his actions impacted his children. He is only prepared to address the limited portion of behavior he has personally decided merits an apology. Everything else receives dismissal. Mykelti clarified exactly what an authentic apology should encompass. It should involve holding yourself accountable and accepting blame for the actions you performed incorrectly because they harmed other people and you want them to feel better. Regardless of whether they accept it, they should comprehend that you are sincere. That represents genuine remorse. That is what healing resembles. But Kody demonstrates no interest in that form of accountability. He wants the women to stop discussing him. He wants the negative publicity to vanish. He wants to reclaim his image without performing the actual work of examining his behavior. The apology tour is not reconciliation. It represents reputation management disguised as personal development, and Mykelti perceives directly through it. But she was not the only person exposing uncomfortable realities about how the Brown household genuinely operates. The apology tour arrives with conditions attached, and those conditions connect directly back to Robyn Brown. Mykelti disclosed something that generated shockwaves throughout the community. Before Kody could begin his image rehabilitation expedition, he required permission from Robyn. Not a casual notification, not a respectful discussion between married partners. Actual approval. And the justification behind this requirement exposes a level of dysfunction that explains extensively why this family disintegrated. Bulldozer apologies. That doesn't sound like an apology. That sounds like I want to feel better about myself, so I'm going to go do this because it's going to make me feel good. According to Mykelti, Robyn needed information because Kody would be conducting individual meetings with women he previously maintained. Intimate relationships with. Allow that to fully register. These are not random women. These are the mothers of his children. Women he invested decades constructing a family with. Women who have communicated unambiguously they want nothing romantic involving Kody Brown ever again. Yet Robyn apparently perceives them as sexual threats requiring her authorization before her husband can simply sit down and conduct a conversation with them. The characterization reveals everything. Robyn does not perceive Christine, Janelle, and Mary as co-parents navigating a complicated family situation. She perceives them as women her husband formerly had sexual relations with. That context eliminates the children entirely from consideration. It ignores that Christine shares 6 children with Kody, including a minor child for whom he provides child support. It dismisses that Janelle raised 6 children with him. It disregards Mary's decades-spanning history with the family. In Robyn's perspective, these women are reduced to their previous physical relationships with her husband, and that characterization renders them dangerous. But here is the question viewers are asking. If Robyn feels secure in her marriage, why would she view these women as threats? Christine has remarried happily to David Woolley. Janelle has consistently expressed zero interest in reconciling with Kody. Mary has advanced forward and constructed her own life. Not a single one of these women has demonstrated any desire to revive anything with their former husband. Yet Robyn still mandates permission protocols as though allowing Kody unsupervised contact with them might lead somewhere inappropriate. This paranoid dynamic might explain something considerably larger. Is this the reason Kody ceased all communication with his former wives entirely? If every conversation demands Robyn's authorization because she views these women as intimate threats, then eliminating contact altogether becomes the simplest approach. Why manage the complications of requesting permission when you can simply terminate communication and assert the women represent the problem? Some viewers have identified an even more disturbing parallel. Kody advocated to adopt Robyn's children from her previous marriage, effectively eliminating her former husband Preston from the situation. Was that decision about providing stability for the children, or was it about ensuring Robyn never possessed a justification to communicate with a man she previously maintained an intimate relationship with? The pattern remains consistent: control masquerading as protection, isolation presented as loyalty. But this dysfunction was approaching exposure in a manner neither Kody nor Robyn anticipated, and then arrived the commentary that transformed everything. A viewer named Ashley Shortcake delivered an analysis so accurate, so clinically precise, that it detonated across the Sister Wives community within hours. Ashley possesses degrees in psychology, and anthropology, and she utilized that expertise to provide a devastating examination of exactly what viewers have been observing for years. The commentary was not casual speculation or emotional release. It was a systematic dissection of narcissistic personality characteristics that left readers astonished by how perfectly it described Kody and Robyn Brown. Ashley began with the fundamental trait that defines all narcissists. They lack an authentic sense of self. They do not understand who they are as individuals. While everyone else invests their developmental years discovering preferences, dislikes, values, and identity, narcissists remain entirely concentrated on themselves, their perceived victim status, and whatever trauma shaped them. They never properly mature. They never develop their own authentic personality. Instead, they absorb characteristics from people surrounding them, people they admire, or people they believe others will find impressive. I wouldn't say that I don't see Robyn as a problem. I would say that I think that she is partially to blame. I think that my dad is partially to blame. I think that there's a lot of small factors that equal into it's all just messed up and sucks. This explains extensively about Kody Brown. Ashley identified that Kody has progressively modeled himself after red pill and manosphere influencers. The language he employs, the perspectives he advocates about masculinity and submission, the manner he frames himself as the wronged patriarch, betrayed by disobedient wives. None of this originates with Kody. He adopted this persona because he observed men online receiving celebration for these attitudes. He desired that identical validation. He wanted to be perceived as powerful, dominant, and justified in his cruelty. But Ashley's analysis of Robyn was even more disturbing. Because Robyn maintains no friendships, she rarely departs her house. She has isolated herself from anyone who might challenge her self-perception. So where does someone in that position develop a personality? According to Ashley, Robyn models herself after biblical figures. She perceives herself as a scapegoat, mistreated by everyone surrounding her, just like Jesus Christ was. She believes the original wives and the public have crucified her unjustly. She compares herself to the Virgin Mary, deceived by her first husband for over a decade. The martyr complex runs profound. Ashley suggested that Robyn probably views the sacrifice of permitting Kody to be with other wives so the family could maintain finances and preserve the television program as comparable to Mary observing her son being crucified. That level of self-importance is staggering. Robyn genuinely perceives herself as a Jesus-like figure, a martyr far more moral than everyone else, someone who has suffered more than anyone could comprehend. It is absurd. It is pathetic. And according to this psychological breakdown, it is textbook narcissistic delusion. The commentary resonated so powerfully because viewers finally possessed language for what they instinctively understood. Years of observing Robyn cry victim while benefiting the most. Years of observing Kody demand respect he never earned. Ashley provided the audience a framework to comprehend the manipulation they witnessed, but her analysis proceeded even deeper into the specific patterns that make Kody and Robyn so destructive together. Robyn Brown has invested years constructing a narrative where she is the perpetual victim, the misunderstood wife, the scapegoat blamed for problems she did not generate, the woman who sacrificed everything for a family that never valued her. But Ashley's psychological breakdown demolished that carefully constructed facade completely. Because what Robyn displays is not authentic suffering. It is a textbook martyr complex engineered to deflect accountability and manipulate everyone surrounding her. The biblical comparisons are not coincidental. Robyn has positioned herself as a Christ-like figure within her own family mythology. She genuinely believes she has been crucified by the original wives, the public, and even her own stepchildren. Every criticism transforms into persecution. Every consequence transforms into unjust punishment. In her perspective, she has done nothing incorrect. She has only loved excessively, sacrificed excessively, and been punished for her goodness. It is a delusion so complete that she cannot perceive how her actions contributed to the family's destruction. Ashley's analysis highlighted how Robyn likely views her participation in plural marriage as a sacrifice comparable to biblical suffering. She permitted Kody to be with other women so the family could survive financially. She endured the pain of sharing her husband. She tolerated the jealousy and competition. In Robyn's perspective, this makes her noble. This makes her selfless. This makes her superior to the women who eventually departed. She cannot comprehend that her behavior might have accelerated those departures. The irony is absolutely staggering, because in a recent episode, Robyn experienced an emotional breakdown discussing abandoned women in plural marriages. She described observing wives in her childhood faith community who shared everything with their husbands, only to be left with nothing. She called it wrong. Her voice cracked with emotion. She presented herself as someone deeply troubled by such injustice. But here is what Robyn conveniently ignored. She became the primary beneficiary of that exact dynamic in her own family. Robyn wept for hypothetical abandoned wives while Christine was fundraising for her daughter's surgery. She cried about women left unloved, while Janelle was parking an RV on Coyote Pass property. She positioned herself as an advocate for mistreated sister wives, while Mary spent years isolated and gaslit by the very family Robyn helped shape. The cognitive dissonance is astounding. Robyn perceives herself as an ally to suffering women while actively benefiting from a system that caused 3 women to suffer. Sources suggest those tears were not about empathy whatsoever. When Kody mentioned retracting his statement about never loving the other wives, Robyn's entire narrative faced threat. His cruel declaration had legitimized her position as his one true love. If he walked that back, the foundation of her specialness crumbled. Those tears might have been less about compassion for abandoned wives and more about panic that her carefully constructed victim story was approaching collapse. But Robyn's emotional manipulation was just one component of a considerably larger pattern of exploitation. That emotional breakdown in season 20 was designed to make viewers feel sympathy for Robyn Brown. The cracking voice, the tearful eyes, the seemingly heartfelt concern for women abandoned by their husbands. It was a masterclass in performance, but viewers who have observed this family for nearly 2 decades perceived directly through it. Those tears were not about empathy. They were about self-preservation, and the timing revealed everything. The scene developed when Kody revealed he was considering apologizing for one of his cruelest statements, the declaration that he never loved Mary, Janelle, or Christine. That bombshell had detonated across the community when he first stated it. Viewers were horrified. The former wives were devastated. But for Robyn, that statement served a very specific purpose. It validated her position as Kody's one true soulmate. If he never genuinely loved the others, then Robyn was not the woman who destroyed a family. She was the woman he was always meant to be with. His cruel words became the foundation of her entire narrative. So when Kody suggested walking that statement back, something shifted in Robyn. She did not encourage him to apologize. She did not express relief that he was finally acknowledging the pain he caused. Instead, she got emotional and started discussing abandoned women from her childhood. She pivoted the entire conversation away from Kody's accountability and toward her own feelings. The deflection was seamless, and it was profoundly calculated. Sources close to the situation speculate that Robyn understood exactly what was threatened. If Kody admitted he did love those women, then the story changes completely. Suddenly, Robyn is not the destined partner who completed him. She is the woman who benefited while 3 marriages crumbled. She is the wife who received the full-time husband while the others were left emotionally starving. The narrative she has clung to for years disintegrates the moment Kody takes genuine accountability. Her tears in that moment read less like compassion and more like panic. The carefully constructed story she has been telling herself, telling the cameras, telling anyone who would listen, was suddenly under threat. And Robyn responded the manner she always responds when cornered. She made herself the victim. She redirected attention to her own pain. She ensured the conversation centered her experiences rather than the women Kody actually hurt. Even in her confessional, the relief she expressed was telling. She said, "Hallelujah, and thank you, Jesus, that Kody was reconsidering his statement." But her reasoning was about the pain it caused the kids, not the wives, not the women who spent decades believing they were loved, only to hear their husband declare otherwise on national television. Robyn framed her relief through the lens of the children because that is more sympathetic. That makes her appear caring. It was another layer of careful image management from a woman who has transformed victimhood into an art form. But the financial exploitation revealed an even darker pattern. Robyn Brown wept for women who had to share resources and were left with nothing. She described it as devastating. She called it wrong. Her voice trembled with what appeared to be genuine emotion for wives who gave everything to their families only to be discarded. But here is the element that makes those tears so infuriating. Robyn was not simply witnessing that pattern in her own family. She was the primary beneficiary of it. The financial history of the Brown family tells a story that Robyn's tears conveniently ignore. For decades, Janelle was the financial backbone of this family. She worked full-time employment while other wives remained home. She contributed her income to a family fund that supported everyone. She made sacrifices so the collective could survive. And where did Janelle conclude after all those years of financial contribution? Living in an RV on a patch of dirt at Coyote Pass. not even a proper home. A recreational vehicle parked on undeveloped land while Kody and Robyn lived comfortably in a spacious house worth over $900,000. The contrast is absolutely condemning. Robyn cried about women left with nothing while inhabiting the family's most valuable property. She wept about shared resources while benefiting from a system that funneled money directly toward her household. During the pandemic, Kody used his strict protocols as justification to live almost exclusively at Robyn's house. That meant her home received the full-time presence of a husband and father, while the other wives were left completely alone. The resources of time, attention, and partnership all flowed in one direction. Then there is Christine and the situation with Isabel's surgery. Christine's daughter needed a major spinal operation that required traveling out of state. It was a painful, life-altering procedure with months of recovery. And what did Christine have to do? She fundraised. She hustled to cover the costs. She asked viewers for help paying for her daughter's medical needs. All of this happened while Robyn and Kody lived comfortably without any apparent financial strain. Kody did not even attend the surgery, citing his COVID protocols. He stayed behind with Robyn while his daughter went under the knife without her father present. The Flagstaff move exposed the financial priorities even further. The entire family uprooted from Las Vegas, a move that stretched their finances to the breaking point and forced the sale of multiple properties. And what a coincidence that this relocation happened to align perfectly with Dayton's college plans. Robyn's son needed to be in Flagstaff, so the entire family sacrificed their stability to accommodate her branch. The other wives lost their homes, took on new mortgages, and struggled to rebuild. Robyn landed in a mansion. For her to then cry about the injustice of unequal resources is a level of cognitive dissonance that defies comprehension. She described a tragedy while living as its greatest beneficiary, but the financial exploitation was only part of the damage Kody inflicted on his own children. The apology tour was designed to focus on Kody's former wives, but his own daughter just revealed a wound that cuts far deeper than any failed marriage. Mykelti Brown Padron shared something on her Patreon that left viewers heartbroken. When Kody was recently in North Carolina, she had no idea. He never informed her. She was only a couple of hours away. She could have brought his grandchildren to see him, but he did not even make the call. The pain in Mykelti's voice was unmistakable. She explained that if the situation were reversed, she would absolutely reach out if she were anywhere near her father, whether Arizona, St. George, Vegas, or Phoenix. She would inform him. Even with their strained relationship, she would still make the effort. She would provide him the opportunity to see her and the grandchildren. That is what family does. That is what parents and children who care about maintaining connection do. But Kody did not extend that same courtesy. He was in her region and never mentioned it. This is not about a former wife holding a grudge. This is about a daughter feeling forgotten by her own father. Mykelti has attempted to maintain a relationship despite everything. She has defended Kody at times when others would not. She has kept the door open for him to be part of her children's lives, and he repaid that grace by being hours away and not bothering to mention it. The message that sends is devastating. His grandchildren were not worth a detour. His daughter was not worth a phone call. But Mykelti is not placing all the blame on her father alone. She made it clear that she views the family's destruction as a two-way street between Kody and Robyn. When asked on her Patreon if Robyn is solely responsible, Mykelti gave a measured response. She said Robyn is partially to blame. Kody is partially to blame. There are many small factors that combine to create this mess. She would not put full blame on any one person because the dysfunction runs too deep and too wide. That balanced perspective makes her criticism even more credible. Mykelti is not a bitter former wife with an agenda. She is a daughter trying to understand how her family fell apart, and her conclusion is that both Kody and Robyn played significant roles in the destruction, the controlling dynamics, the isolation from family members, the prioritization of one household over all others. Mykelti sees the patterns clearly because she has lived them. She also does not believe her father's apologies are sincere. Kody admitted he wants to apologize so people will stop speaking negatively about him. That is not accountability. That is reputation management. Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you will not want to miss what is coming next.